Welcome to Red Pill University. You are live with me, Joe, and Mike. Tonight we are finally getting into the final section of the course everybody's been waiting for, where we start talking about game, the training wheels, the synthetic stuff that a lot of guys have been asking for. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring up the slideshow and get going. All right, so we're going to define what it is, why it's important. We'll talk a little bit about natural versus synthetic game, and so forth. All right. So game is, to me, an amalgamation of three primary skills. It's your social savviness / awareness, being able to read others in a social context, your ability to make others comfortable with your presence, and then finally, your ability to escalate towards whatever your end game goals are. Why is this stuff important? Because if nobody ever had game, no one would ever be getting laid. We would see the entire species die out. If you couldn't make women interested, yeah, you are the success of all of your ancestors when you think of it in that sense. And like I said here, everybody has game to some degree, whether they know it or not. And then there's also the aspects of the more attractive you are, the easier it's going to be. That's just nature. Not everybody gets to be an astronaut. Life isn't fair. Deal with it. And if you don't like where you're at, improve your presentation. Hit the gym, lose some weight, put on some muscle, do better grooming. Learn how to learn what style works for you as a person, as an individual. Oh, skip one here. I just mentioned natural versus synthetic. Natural game is, as I said right here, primarily screening for women that are naturally interested. We've talked about this in the show before. We had a whole segment on it with the bell curve model and the spectrum. Synthetic game is the training wheels that we use to develop social competence. So I always like to say that competence breeds confidence. The more you do something positively and get those positive reactions, the more confidence you're going to build. It's like with when you first learn to drive a car, you're not very competent, so you know you're not very confident. If every single time you drove your car and you put it into a ditch or you hit somebody, you'd probably not be feeling too good about it and stop driving after a while. And we see this with a lot of guys. They just kind of give up. They go MGTOW or whatever, and they're not putting in the work to improve their skills. That's where this class comes into play, or I should say over here.
Yeah, I mean, one of the interesting things about building frame is, you can't have frame without outcome independence, and you can't have that without abundance. And so the abundance mentality is, just connecting with as many people as possible, having a lot of options, talking to a lot of women. And then, you're not really worried about if one single connection kind of breaks down.
Exactly.
And that starts to strengthen, that's frame construction 101. That's a big piece of it. There's three parts of frame. There's physical, there's, intellectual, and there's the emotional part. And this emotional intelligence kind of aspect, the social competence piece, that very much is emotional intelligence. There's a great book on that I want to plug here. That's Emotional Intelligence 2.0. And it goes further into this. I don't want to get off track, but this is the part that is going to make you kind of, savvy as you start to talk to women.
Mm-hmm. And then also, if you see the little banners popping up, if you guys like this content, hit that like button. It helps us out immensely with YouTube algorithm and making sure our stuff gets seen by other people. As always, hit that notification bell, subscribe. Moving on. So now I know I said a moment ago that natural game is often just screening for women that are already interested in you. But both natural and synthetic game can both be used to convert those women that are in the middle of the bell curve who are disinterested to becoming interested. And like I said right here, it's far easier to screen for women who are already interested than it is to try and fight that uphill battle of making women interested by DHVing or whatever, the old PUA terms were. So with that, the ultimate goal of this course is twofold. One is to get you to level up your social attributes, your presentation. That's to maximize those positive elements of natural game. And then two, the training wheels. This is what we're going to be moving into for the next few weeks with the course. This is to, again, build confidence through competence. Refer back to the example I just gave about driving a car. If every time you crashed it, you wouldn't want to drive very often. So if you guys are having a really hard time going out there, approaching, I mean, it's tough right now with the virus, but yeah, if you're having a hard time when you do approach and you're not getting positive results, then it's time to take a step back and maybe do a structured approach. All right, so internal versus
Yeah, I would say if you're not having a lot of success on your initial approaches, probably it's one of two problems. It's either what you're saying or who you're talking to. And so really, taking a step back and understanding those two things and making adjustments accordingly.
I've even got a bullet point in the show here. We're going to come up to that in just a second. Yep. So external game, aka
stealing your thunder.
Oh, no, that's all right. Let's see here. So it can be natural or synthetic. Synthetic, again, is the structured approach. This is your techniques, the gambits, the PUA stuff. Not all of it's great. There's some really cool shit in there that you can use. I take the Bruce Lee approach. Adopt what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is uniquely your own. When it comes to that kind of aspect of structured approaching and game, yeah, do what works for you as an individual. And again, it's the training wheels. I keep going back to that. So internal game. This is what you were just talking about a moment ago. This is the frame, your internal beliefs, your self-worth, your character. It's all of the stuff that's what's going on between your ears. You can't fake this. You can try, and you may actually end up getting into a relationship, but 6 months down the road, your true self will shine through. She's going to realize she got duped, and then you're going to be back to square one.
They're going to find the chinks in the armor.
Exactly. Yeah. It's never a good thing. This is why this entire process is a life cycle, kind of in a sense. It's a holistic approach to self-improvement. So you've got to make sure you're going through the entire process, because there's no shortcuts. There's no magic bullets. There's no silver bullets. You got to put in the work. It's all it comes down to. So moving on. Oh, also, episodes 1 through 7. If you haven't watched them yet, it's all leading up to this point. That was all. I don't think anybody realized it or not, but that entire sequence of episodes was to build your inner game. And this next portion of the class is moving forward into the outer game. All right. So the outer game doesn't work if your inner game is all screwed up. That's why we took so long getting here. So now moving forward.
That's why the first advice we give you is lift and learn how to pass shit tests and, work on yourself, work on your presentation.
Indeed. Yep. So now moving forward, this is a summary of what we're going to talk about going into the end of the course. We're going to talk about approaching, building comfort through commonalities, rapport, qualification, conversational mastery, which I like to call the gift of gab, and then physical presence and escalation. Now, I always recommend Vin DiCarlo's Kino escalation ladder. It's hard to find. It's apparently out of print. It's out there somewhere, but we're going to touch more on that later towards the end of the course. Right now, tonight, we're just going to focus on the approach. And do you have any thoughts on that?
On the approach piece?
Yep.
No, I think one thing that's super clear from the guys trading notes, especially in the Discord, is direct is better. And we're going to talk a little bit about first impressions and stuff like that. But I think going back to the conversation that we had about the sexual marketplace, just realize like you're going to get more rejections than yeses, and that's by design, right? So I would say there's two pieces here. Like just be it, and this goes back to outcome independence, right? And you're going to build that through a lot of interactions with people, but like just the mindset of understanding that you are going to fail, and that's okay. Failure is just a not right now, right? Not today, not interested for now, right? And that's fine, and that has to be what it is. But there are going to be women that are interested, and that's kind of what you need to wrap your head around. Is if you dial in your mindset to, oh, I'm going to assume this person is at least going to want to have a decent conversation with me, right? 9 times out of 10, you can go into it with a positive mindset. If you're struggling with the approach, first off, maybe lower the stakes a little bit and just think of it as, you know what, I'm going to go into this, I'll have a good conversation, I'm going to see where it goes, and if it goes somewhere well, then I'll escalate it from there.
Right. And yeah, like Mike just said, it's a lot of rejections that you get have nothing to do with you. It could be where she's at in her life. She doesn't know anything about you. She's not rejecting you as a person. All she knows is that 10 seconds that you spit game at her or said hello. It's very, very superficial. It's not who you are as a person. So don't get butthurt. Don't take it personally. There are things we're going to talk about that in a minute. So yeah, there's things that you can do. I think we just lost Mike. He just froze up there. So we'll continue on. So game, first impressions. And I don't remember where I remember reading this. I think it was actually from a college presentation, a college course on like giving presentations, speeches, public speaking. You have about 6 seconds to make a first impression. Well, if you remember back in the old PUA days, they used to say, the 3-second rule. As soon as you see a girl you're interested in, you've got 3 seconds to approach. Well, if you follow that modality, you just burned up half your time to make a good first impression. If she, we really lost Mike. So yeah, if you're following the 3-second rule, there he is. You have just lost half of your time to make a first impression if she sees you coming. So the moment you guys lock eyes, give her the smile, the eye flash. If she reciprocates and gives you that indicator, that approach indicator, beat feet and walk over. Don't wait 3 seconds building up the courage to go say hello. Get those feet moving immediately. Think of it as like a 1-second rule. All right. Now, obviously, how you move is going to play an important part of how people perceive you. If you are very jittery, you've got a nervous energy about you, slow down. Be more deliberate with your delivery. We've spoken about this before with pregnant pauses. They're very important. Lower your the pitch on the end of your statements. You want to become more not domineering, but more dominant, more driven. When you go up, you're seeking a rapport. When you go down, you're giving more of a rapport break. Use these tools to your advantage. And Mike was there, and we just lost him again. Let's see. This is bad. Yeah, I think he's having some Wi-Fi issues. And also, I don't know if you've noticed it. Got the old Gold's Gym t-shirt on. We have started the Chad Challenge 2020. If you are not involved, but you would like to, we are going to do a 12-week challenge. The most improved individual voted on by you, our subscribers, and our Discord community. The most improved person will get a nice, shiny $50 Amazon gift card. Now, the main thing is every week we're all going to check in. We're going to, hey, there we are. We're going to let everybody know where we're at. And it's mostly just to kind of keep accountability for everybody involved. Right now, we've got roughly 20 people involved, including Mike and myself. If you're new to the Discord community, just know that you've got to build up experience and participate in the community before you unlock certain aspects of our server. That's to protect everybody's privacy. But there's no reason you cannot participate in this little challenge. Just send me or Mike or one of the other guys a heads up that you want to participate. We'll collect all the information, the pictures, throw them in the challenge, and then eventually, as you earn your way up the levels, it will start unlocking these things, and you'll be able to see it yourself and continue your updates every week. Again, it's a 12-week challenge. At the end, the most improved individual voted on by the community will get a $50 Amazon gift card. So back to the show. All right, Mike is back, and we've got some folks on the chat. We're going to come to that in a little bit later there, Shibby. So first impressions, again, you've got 6 seconds to make a good first impression. If she sees you gawking at her and you wait 3 seconds to go say hello, half of the time to build that first impression was just wasted by you staring at her. Think about how that people perceive that. So again, how you move is going to be important. So try to limit the janky shit that you might do normally. Again, rehearsal, this is all structured stuff. You're going to go and practice this in advance. I want you guys to know what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, and get into a rhythm of doing things consistently. All right? And then be rejected. Go ahead.
Yeah, the other thing here is remembering that women are not going to make a direct approach at you, right? The most that they'll do is they'll make eye contact, and the way that they're going to do that, they may smile, they may play with their hair, they may touch the face, something like that. But that is an approach in and of itself, right? So if you get that, then that's going to be kind of the indicator of like, hey, I'm okay with you coming over to talk to me, and basically just go ahead and do it right then.
Yep. And so moving on. Yeah, that's absolutely. Being rejected, we kind of already touched on this a little bit ago. This is what we were talking about. They don't know anything about you as a person. All they're rejecting is your approach methodology or your presentation. Both of these things are elements that you can improve. All right. You can improve your presentation. We've already done a show in this about the whole. Yeah, go watch it. Link's down in the description already. And if she's not keen on your approach methodology, that's what tonight's about. I think I cut Mike off. What was that?
No, you got it.
Okay. Let's see here. Yes. Approaching. So what you say to break the ice often isn't actually all that important. Absolutely. Man, this is so important. I think guys got to get out of their head. They're so focused on what they're going to say that they miss the forest for the trees. How you say it is far more impactful than what you actually say. Think back to subcommunication, covert communications. This is where all this stuff kind of comes out.
Yeah, 10% of communication is the words.
Right.
The other 90% is the tonality and your body language and the context of the discussion.
Exactly. Let's see. You should not put them on edge or make them defensive. You want to build comfort. Now, there's different ways of going about this. There is times where you're going to do it as a direct kind of approach, and it could put them off on guard, raise the shields, makes them defensive. There's time and place for that. Again, remember, this is just the training wheels aspect. We're going to try and get as much positive outcome as we can. So we're going to do this in a structured way. For right now, I want you guys to focus on being genial, non-threatening, pleasant when you approach. All right. So what's an example of this? We're going to talk about this in more detail later, different examples of how to approach. One is don't look like a serial killer. Don't have a scowl on your face and stare them down. Don't approach from behind and give them that ninja shoulder tap from behind. Especially if you're out like in a club environment, you're like, they're going to be surprised. You don't want that.
Yeah, don't sneak up on them.
So yeah, if you are in a situation where they're in front of you and they've got their back to you, circle around, get their attention, cross the dance floor or whatever, give them that smile, elicit the approach invitation, then go straight to them. All right? You're going to have wildly better results doing that than what most guys often kind of get into a rhythm of doing through bad habits. All right, so the whole reason that you're going to approach, hopefully guys understand why they're doing this. It's to get into a conversation. You've got to learn to transition. All right? Now, there's there's books actually written about how to transition. I'm not going to get into the defineries of that right now. But the gist of it is I want you guys to be polarizing if you can, if you're comfortable with that. And again, this is right out of Mark Mason and Brad Pitt. You're going to automatically screen for women right off the top of those who are already interested in you. So by having polarizing statements, that could be statements of intent, immediately escalating the sexual conversations within reason. But again, think of it in the terms of the training wheels. We're trying to get you guys positive results to build up your confidence. So you don't have to go ham and go straight into the direct stuff. But yeah, being polarizing is a very useful tool, which I favor. And honestly, that's more of an intermediate kind of thing. For the beginners out there who've never approached women, or you're really, really in your own head and you're just got a lot of approach anxiety. Oh, we lost Mike again. Then go with something more indirect, casual, and I'll have examples in just a second. So direct versus indirect. Each has its own merits. Direct is where you are going to walk up to them and immediately give them interest and be direct in your intentions. Indirect is where you kind of beat around the bush. They know you're flirting with them. They know. Yeah, you get it. Mike, I don't know if you can hear me, but oh, there you are. Okay. Your camera and mic wasn't on there for a second. So yeah, direct is pretty straightforward. I like you. Let's go on a date. Indirect is, hey, do you have the time? Hey, do you have this? Hey, did you notice this thing over here? You're beating around the bush, just kind of formulate a conversation to transition into something more meaningful. Direct is, like it says right here in one of the bullet points, it's better for situations where time is limited. and or seeing if they're naturally interested. Again, that's that polarizing aspect that I was talking about. And if for those that haven't watched it, go watch one of the older videos about the bell curve. You got to know this stuff. Let's see here. Functional. Okay, so now we're kind of getting into different types of openers, which cracks me up because I see the term opener came from PUAs 10, 15 years ago, but it's so mainstream now. You can go over to the Tinder subreddit and people are like, what's your best opener? Like, and they don't realize that they're using pickup terminology. It cracks me up how mainstream this has all gotten. Speaking of Tinder, you had something you wanted to say. Mike, can you hear me? Uh-oh, I think we lost him again.
First of all, my audio is good, I hope.
Now we've got you. All right. So can you hear me?
Yeah.
So we were just talking a little bit ago about Tinder. You had something you wanted to say?
So, we were talking.
Oh, no.
Yes, no.
Yeah, you're chopping out. You're cutting in and out. Why don't we save this one for the after party or for the after show? All right. Yeah, we're having technical difficulties on that side. All right. So we're just going to continue on.
No good.
Hey, Mike, why don't we save the Tinder thing for Discord
That sounds
for the after show? All right. So we're just going to move right forward into the different types of openers. So functional. Do you have the time? Very simple, very casual, very low effort on your part. Also, the most difficult to transition from into a proper conversation. Observational. Right there is a good example of, wow, you're making an observation about something in your surroundings that you can both observe right there and then possibly transition onto something else. Let's see here. The compliment opener. Now, this is really important that you don't compliment something that they didn't earn. Their looks. They were born with that. Don't compliment their looks. Compliment an accomplishment, something they did, something they earned, because then the compliment is going to be, again, earned in its own right. People value what they have to work for. So if you're going to give them a compliment on something that they earned, it's going to have way more weight to it than complimenting their looks. And always, again, try to transition into a conversation from there. Next one, direct. Again, you're putting your sexual interest out there right up front. Hard statement of intent. Boom. There it is. You're a sexy girl at the party. I'm Joe, and you are. And just go from there. And then the last one is the combination. This is my favorite, especially for day game, where you go out and it's just this juxtaposition between a casual kind of thing. Hey, do you know what time it is? I forgot my watch at the house. To, nah, I'm just kidding. I just thought you were cute and wanted to talk to you. It's this change up. And it's really powerful stuff. We lost him again. Yeah. Damn. So let's see. You got some good questions. All right. Moving on. Yep. All right. So moving on. Where are we at? Oh, so that actually finished up this portion of just the basics of approaching. Give you guys a handful of examples of the different types. We talked a little bit about the direct versus indirect, a little bit about the internal versus the external, inner game versus outer game. The main thing is I want you guys to kind of just make this as easy on yourselves as possible to write down a couple of different openers of the different types that are suited to your personality. You're going to practice and rehearse and rehearse and rehearse in the mirror, get a camera, practice this shit over and over and over again, drill it into your into muscle memory. This way, when you do see a girl you're interested in, you don't have to burn 3 seconds trying to come up with something to say. Go over, talk to them, because you've already done the rehearsing and the practice, the repetition to drill it into you. This is the baby steps. This is the training wheels aspect. So this preparation is going to pay dividends down the road. So hopefully this is kind of giving you guys some stuff to think about. One of the things we had started to touch on is the transition. We'll cover that next week. So just for now, again, don't forget your homework. Go out, meet 30 minutes a day if you can. I know it's tough right now because there's not a lot of people out, but things are slowly going back to normal. So 30 minutes a day, every day, no hired guns, no family, no friends, no coworkers. you actually got to go out and talk to women that you would not normally speak to during your day-to-day lives. And I want you to accrue 30 minutes of FaceTime every single day. Now, you don't leave until you either get their number, they leave, or they tell you to get lost. That's the rules. All right. This is your homework, and it has been your homework from like day one. So make sure you're going out there and doing that, especially right now. The weather's amazing. Things are opening back up. You've got no excuse now. All right. And I just gave you a handful of openers of different styles that you can try out. And also, don't forget, you got to do this at least 30 times for each individual opener to really know if it's going to work for you or not. It takes about 30 times to get a data set to be statistically relevant. So if something that you're doing is not working, do it for 30 times, then change it up, and then do the new one 30 times and see how that pans out. This is called A/B testing. It's one example of it. So just keep fine-tuning. And I'm going to guarantee you right now that what may not have worked 6 months ago or a year ago, moving forward, it will. Or it may very well work for you. This is the same thing we talk about where you don't give women compliments. Why? It screws up a lot of the dynamics with the investment, the stuff we've talked about previously in the class.
Risky move. It's a really risky move.
If your shit is wired tight, down the road, you can actually start breaking the rules of thumb. But you have got to have gone. You must have gone through the self-improvement process, the whole cycle. Otherwise, things are gonna break down. Let's see here. So yeah, we've kind of gone through all of the show notes for tonight. I do want to get through the comments here. We got quite a few.
Can you hear me on my audio for now?
We can.
Great.
And while I have everybody's attention, I want to put a shout out to all of our Patreon supporters: Liam, Koza, Reese, Mr. R.A., Dante, Andy, Matthias, Lee, 19, Crow Colt Cowboy, Corin, and Brew Laffy. Thank you all for supporting the channel. Also, to the guys that are doing the server boosting on Discord, thank you as well. Your guys' support is massive. Don't forget a little announcement. This Saturday at noon, we're doing the I don't want to call it a coaching call, but a private call with our subscribers and supporters. And then at 1 p.m., we are going to have another watch party over on Discord. We are still working out the details, but we're going to create another commentary track, this time for Fight Club. So I'm looking forward to it. It should be fun. We had a lot of fun doing it last time with The Matrix.
Yeah.
Now, that commentary was already released to our supporters. Look for that to go live to the general public on Saturday. All right. So without any further ado, we got some questions here or comments.
Yeah, actually, before we jump in with questions, let me give a suggestion here, since my audio kind of jammed me up there for a second, and it's really just 3 suggestions. When you're opening, from the keep it simple, stupid category, I tend to go really, really simple with opening a conversation with anybody, and it's one of 3 things. It's, hey, how's it going? Hey, I wanted to talk to you. Or, hey, I wanted to meet you. And you can put those 2 together, right? Hey, how's it going? I wanted to meet you. And then tell them why. You always need to follow up with something as far as why you were interested in them. And it can't be, hey.
Oh, he's cutting out again. So what he's talking about, the reason why.
Just get blown out with your game and save a lot.
So, Mike, you cut out again. I don't know if you can hear me. So just to kind of piggyback what he was saying. Okay, so you're back again. You want to justify why you're talking to them, why you're giving them this statement. And we're going to talk about that in the Gift the Gap in the later portion with the conversational mastery. Justifying why you're talking to them is so important.
Yeah.
There's so many, tons of reasons.
It can be so simple as it looks like you're having a good time. Or I wanted to get to meet you. I'm curious as to, what you're here for, right? Are you here, like if they're out at a bar, you guys here for a special event, or is this like a happy hour type thing? Like what are you out here looking for? Because if they say like, oh, it's my mom's funeral, then you know that's probably not a great context for the discussion, right? But that's a great opener, and then transition into just a general conversation. And then you introduce yourself, you say your name, just say, hey, here's why I'm here. And you tell them that piece, and then start asking your question or so, or something like that, or then you're doing some type of interaction at that point. But that's not what I just described is probably 80% of the approach.
Yeah, it's just being sociable and having that social intelligence, asking why people were there and who they're there with.
Mhm.
I can't believe guys don't understand. This is one of the basic things that should come out of your mouth every single interaction.
Yeah.
This is basic shit you got to know.
Take an interest and you'll be interesting.
Yes, and there's that aspect as well. So let's see here.
So that's all I wanted to touch on is just those three things is, hey, how's it going? I wanted to meet you, or hey, how's it going? I want to talk to you. And then why?
Yep. All right, so getting into the comments, shibbity dibbity. Hopefully, yeah. Don't think you were late. You didn't miss much. Let's see. Is that a full book? Because whenever I Google it, I just get like 3 slides. I think he's talking about the Vin DiCarlo Kino escalation ladder.
Yeah, the escalation ladder is pretty large.
Yeah, it's PDF. I think it's only or the book is only maybe 30 pages.
Let me search it real quick.
Yeah, it's hard.
You keep going.
Yeah, I bought it years ago. The eye flash is just like the eyebrows just go up really quick, and it's in concert with a smile. So whenever you see somebody, you're like, hey, it's that elated kind of look on your face, like, hey, buddy, how you doing? That, hey, the eyebrows go up, you smile from the eyes. It's a combination of different elements that all come together for you're trying to elicit a positive reaction on their part. Some women are going to see it and they're just like, eh. Others are going to be like, oh, and they're going to be friendly and they're going to be like, oh, hi, how you doing? From across the room. That's that nonverbal you're going to get. That nonverbal positive reaction to your eye flash and smile, that's the approach invitation. When you get that, don't just leave them hanging. Okay? Yeah. Go over and talk to them. Now, if
their eyes get a little bit bigger or they hold a little bit extra eye contact, that's it. That's the look.
And then you can also give a little bit more eye contact as you approach. That's the other aspect of that. Let's see here. Don't gawk till you're ready to say hello. Gawking don't just stare at them. That's a little weird. Thank you, Stan.
If your jaw is on the floor and you're just staring at somebody, I don't care if it's a woman or man. It's very, very off-putting.
Ribney, women game is weak. Well, yeah, women have pretty bad game in that sense of external game. Their game is different. Men and women are different. Their way of going about doing things is different. We have to carry the weight in that sense and do a lot of the heavy lifting, for lack of a better term. Let's see here. Monster Hunter 12. Are there any major differences to approaching during the COVID-19 pandemic?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of guys on the Discord actually talk about how challenging that can be. Just because somebody's in a mask, they're more naturally closed off, because if you cannot see most of a person's face, there's like a defense response to predators, basically. And so it's really challenging approaching when you got a mask on with somebody, or if you're in a situation where you really are not supposed to be out, socializing, interacting with people per, local ordinance or whatever it is.
But yeah, you can still do it. I was just flirting with a girl today, went over to Costco.
Oh yeah. No,
so, all masked up, but it still works.
The second part of that is that's not an excuse. I mean, people are absolutely dying to have conversations after they've been stuck at home for 3 months.
And that's the other aspect. If you can tap into that, like, oh my God, it's so nice to actually have a conversation with somebody that's not my cat or my dog, or something like that. Or if they've got, we won't get into single mother aspects, but if they are going to be craving adult conversations and interactions. Being stuck in a house with a kid for 12 weeks is going to make some people a little stir crazy, just a little bit.
Totally.
Yeah.
Before we move to the next one,
well, I think I want to address the major difference is going to be like what Mike just said. It's that naturally closed off body language. So that's going to be tricky to get around. So don't be afraid to lead. Like, I'll show you mine if you show me yours and you flash your mask off really quick. Hey, there's games that you can play with this to kind of make things fun. All right.
That's true.
So
before you go to the next one, I did pull up the DiCarlo escalation ladder. I've got it. For all those that want to jump on the Discord afterward, I'll just shoot it to you. It's a 26-page PDF. It's really super good quality.
Well, we won't commit piracy or whatever, but
it's available.
up, you might be able to.
It's on Scribd. It's free.
Oh, it is now. Oh, so he released it. Never mind.
Yeah,
Excellent. That's awesome.
It's free.
That's excellent. All right. Good for him. I'm glad he did that. That makes our world a lot easier. It's going to make your world a lot easier. All righty. So you yell your pickup line from a 2 meter distance.
There you go.
Dingleberry Joe. All right.
This is not actually a terrible approach of just, hey, and I mean, just, try it. And the thing is like do it, be bold. And if it doesn't work, and what did you have to lose anyway?
Yeah. You miss all the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky. Great quote.
There you go.
Let's see here. Stand up. In any other case, she won't mind you getting too close. Yeah. Let's see. Dingleberry Joe. I'm honestly been wondering about COVID game. Well, don't wonder much longer because it's on its way out. At least the way the public consciousness is going. Everybody's starting to go back to normal. Yes. Welcome, Master Duelist Key. Finally caught us stream. All right. Monster Hunter 12. Yeah, I'm going to try and do day game. Good.
Excellent.
Polarizing. Polarizing takes ability to hold frame. Yes, it does. But you can also have fun with it from a self amusement perspective.
That's such good advice. Have fun.
Yeah, just have. I don't know why, guys. Yeah, give yourselves permission to go out into the world and have fun with this stuff.
It can be fun to talk to people.
Yeah, it is. And the more fun you have, the more fun they're going to have, unless they got to stick up their butt. Some people are just
like 10-15% are not in a place to have a conversation, and that's fine.
Yeah, it's the bell curve model, that spectrum where some people are just so far on the one side that no matter what you do, they're not going to be interested. They're not going to want to talk to you. Reasons. Don't worry about it. That's not a reflection of you. That's just life. Okay? So move on to the next and have fun with the ones that you do have a successful interaction with. Let's see. Indirect is great for social circle game. Yes, because you got to have that covert conversation and sub-communication because social stuff can happen. 48 laws of power, protect your reputation. That all comes to mind when, social circles. Also work. This is why I don't recommend guys dating at work or hitting on girls from work at social gatherings. Now, if by some happenstance you meet somebody who you guys work for the same company, but you don't work together, that when you've got degrees of separation, those kind of like recommendations start to kind of break down a little bit. Because now it's more just a social circle game where you met through friends and you just by happenstance work for the same conglomerate,
Yeah, it's tough. If you're in a position of power nowadays, it's really challenging. Like Pete, you're going to get pegged as somebody who's, taking advantage of a power dynamic. Not a good look. If it's even a company that you're partnered with or in the same industry, like it could have an impact on your reputation. So my advice is just completely steer clear of it. Like you should have enough hobbies and socialization, in your life that you can meet people that way.
It's a damn shame because half the reason guys try to climb the corporate ladder is to get the status that arrives from that. And if you can't tap into that, what's the point? Besides, having
I mean, it's a challenge. I don't.
Yeah. A lot of
don't get me wrong. If you're smart about it and discreet, you can do it. But there's just understand the risks at least before you're going to do that.
Yeah. Let's see here. I got this out. Tinder is awful. Bumble the same. Yes and yes. It is written turned me on to what's the new one? Hinge. It's not new. It's Hinge. And I've been having a lot of fun with that. That actually surprised me. They limit how many people you can talk to or like in a day. I'd say I'm running about a 30% success rate.
It's huge.
It is huge. It's incredible. There's nowhere near as many bots. And most of the people that I keep getting matched up with, they're reasonably good looking chicks. And they're young too, like 18 to 30. Now that may not sound young to some people, but yeah. Yeah. So
it's all relative, I guess. But
it beats
the thing about
Tinder and the other shit. Yeah. So now that we got you actually with good communication, what was it you were going to say about Tinder, about the Tinder approaching?
Yeah. And my audio is still good, right?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So the interesting thing about Tinder is I've been talking to a lot of the guys on the Discord, the senior guys that are actually like running game effectively on Tinder. And the three things that kind of came away, number one, you got to work on your presentation. If you're not lifting, if you're not well dressed, then you're shot, right? Like the guys that do well on Tinder are already in kind of that top tier of guys. So, be attractive, don't be unattractive. It goes back to that. The second piece of it is, have good photos and have, really good opening direct game. And then, keep it short, keep it to logistics, like no more than 5-6 messages. And you need to be asking them if they want to get together, because by your pictures, they have already decided from minute one if they want to even interact with you in the real world. And I'm not talking about like go out on a date. I'm just talking about actually like a regular interaction. So, a couple of the approaches that have been super effective are, hey, so-and-so, like, let's say, just pick a name, Jessica. Hey, Jessica, I'm Mike. I'm the direct type. Nobody ever fell in love over text. Why don't we get together Tuesday?
Yep.
And just, hey, like set a date, start to move to logistics, and then we can get to know each other then. Right.
Yep.
Or 1 or 2 questions. Hey, are you into, man, I don't know what's a good example. Are you into the beach? Right. If you're near the coast or something like that. Right. Hey, I'm taking a trip to the beach in a couple weeks or in a week or two. Is that something, you down for that type thing? Just super direct and not aggressive, but assertive of like, hey, are you a beach person? If so, we can meet up, go hang out at the beach or whatever you got.
The main takeaway from this, though, is that you're going to be, again, polarizing with online game. You're being more direct because if you matched, you've already cut through all the bullshit. The sub-communication is she wants to smash. All right. There wouldn't be on these apps, at least on apps like Tinder or some of the BDSM ones. They're not there to play games. They tell the guys they don't want to hook up with that they're not there to hook up, but that's just them ASDing. Okay. So when what Mike was just saying, make sure that you are being relatively direct because you're going to automatically screen out what Patrice call them, the time hose.
Yeah.
The ones who are just there for the attention and validation are going to try and make you into a digital orbiter.
Totally. They just want to give you their Snapchat. They want you to be their follower on Instagram. Don't play that game.
Yeah. It's like, as soon as they hit me with that, it's like, I just unmatch them. There's no point.
It doesn't have to be crazy, complicated either. It's like, hey, look, tacos are $3. Like, you want to go grab a couple tacos or something. It's like $6, and see if somebody, first of all, has a couple brain cells and can hold the conversation and go meet them in person. Not that hard.
Yep. Yeah. I got lucky there. I got a little, man, it's a good food truck. Like just down the road, man.
That's
a little
so
too far to walk, but I can just hop on the bicycle and pedal on down there.
That's it. Throw her on the back of your bike and take her around. Jeez, man.
Wasn't thinking in that sense. I'm thinking like we meet there, but yeah. No, yeah, meet at my place. We'll head over to the taco shop.
Do you like food truck? I know of a really good one.
Oh, dude.
How about Tuesday night?
And that's a legit date, okay? Chicks like food, especially nowadays. A lot of them are trying to get free meals out of guys. That's half the reason some of them are even on these apps. So be mindful of that as well. But food truck outings, I really like them. You get to go and you sample different food trucks, figure out which ones you like, and then because they'll bring them in for work and they'll just have
a conversation between.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just a little snack here or there, and that's just one way to go about it. It's an option for a date. But
you should be not spending more than a couple dollars to get to know somebody, right?
Yeah, I remember the old Tom Likas, man. Back in the day, he was saying no more than $40.
$40. I mean,
that'd be like $100, man. It's like screw that shit. No,
yeah,
no.
I'm not spending $100 on a date if I'm a young single guy. That's crazy.
The best dates I've ever had weren't even really dates; they were free for the most part. I didn't spend anything on them, and I had the best results. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. The best interactions, the best dates, the best whatevers that had the best reactions. I didn't have to spend anything on.
Yeah.
So
there's your anecdote for you. But even if you do, if you're out, if you're going to go out in a social environment, you got to assume like, hey, I'm going to buy 1 or 2 drinks, right? Hey, I'm going to go get some gelato. I'm going to go get, you go to a pastry shop, whatever. It doesn't matter where you go to. But somewhere that's interesting where, you can get to know somebody and, have that opportunity to interact. But there's also something else going on that you can talk about. So, or most importantly, like do something else. and have your attention focused elsewhere so that you're not just staring at each other for an hour.
Right. Let's see here. I did not realize we had this many comments. I'm gonna have to start moving through these.
Ooh, yeah. No
Got
kidding.
a lot of comments tonight. This is great. Let's see here. Were you being doxxed? I don't think so. Just the YouTube, the algorithm knows.
They're scared about Big Brother these days. I don't blame them.
Facial expressions and vocal tonality are important topics. Yes, they are.
You
This
talked
is why
about that.
we had an entire episode dedicated to that. That's your presentation.
Mhm.
So, well, no, no, that was your social attributes video. I'm sorry. Yeah, we talked all about that. Let's see here. I guess you don't need to worry about expressions wearing a mask. That is not right. That's not true at all.
Mhm.
When you smile from the eyes, they can still tell you're smiling. Do you understand? I know Mike's he's shaking his head. Yes.
Mhm.
Hopefully, guys can post in the comments if you know what I mean by this.
Yeah, your cheekbones are going to come up a little bit, that type of thing.
Yeah, the eyes are going to crinkle. You're going to get the crow's feet. You're going to get the cheekbones come up a little bit. You're going to have more. There's more expressiveness when you are smiling in that sense. And believe it or not, you can still recognize people with a mask on. There's a lot you can get from their appearance. That even with the mask on, so you can still generally tell if a girl's cute from, despite what's covered. You can get a fair approximation. Let's see if you're just ugly. See, I just maybe kind of, sort of, but not really. You can't hide some of this stuff.
Look, few people are ugly. Most guys are average looking, and if you're in reasonably good shape and you dress well, then you're already putting yourself in a higher tier than most people that women are coming into contact with. So don't make excuses if you think you're ugly. Just do the work.
All right. So here's a really solid question.
Excellent question.
Can you go into approach anxiety, and how do you do the first approach? So let's first off define what is approach anxiety. I've been saying this for years. It is a mixture of the fear of rejection and stage fright. Now, you can get over the stage fright aspect to a large degree by just getting immune to it by doing it over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
The fear of rejection will go away as you get more positive experiences. That's where you build up your confidence. And then also that fear of rejection goes away with time when you realize most women don't reject you right off the top based on your approach, especially the more advanced you get. So how do you do the first approach? You have got to find your balls and go approach. There is no magic bullet. You have just got to do it.
Yeah.
It's going to be very awkward and you'll be in your head and you'll be chest be thumping and it's going to be very, very nerve wracking. They don't know any of that. They're not going to see it. It's all in your head. So go ahead.
There's a couple of things to approach anxiety, and I'm looking at there's a really great post that I can link on the Discord about a complete idiot's guide to conversation from one of the senior guys. It's fantastic, and he touches on some of this stuff. So I'll just mention it here, but I'll link the article in the Discord. You're probably wondering, if you're a guy that hasn't done any social approaching at all, and you're just starting out, you're probably wondering like, well, why me? Why do I have to go talk to women or be the one to open the conversation? And it's because you are the one that wants these social connections. So you have to go get over that fact, right? Like if you want to interact with people, you have to be the one to start the conversation, because the ratio of people that want to talk naturally extroverted are going to start conversations is very low, very, very, very low. Most people are in the middle. Most people are open to a conversation. And then most people are doing something else. They don't have the time of day. They're a jerk. They don't want to talk to you. And that's in the very minor percentage. So the vast majority of the people in the mid-range that you have to understand are probably going to be open to a polite conversation, at least an interesting conversation. So again, be interesting, ask interesting questions, tell them why you're talking to them. And if you start to understand that that's more likely to give you a better result, then you've kind of gotten past the initial fear of like, well, why do I have to be the one to talk to somebody? Then the second piece of it is those feelings of excitement. And I don't remember what the YouTube video was. It was a long time ago. I think it was a Simon Sinek video actually, about when athletes are going into a competition. They say, they're being interviewed before the competition. It's, are you nervous? And they say, no, I'm kind of excited, right? And nervous and excited is the same thing, right? You have the same reaction. And so that Simon Sinek video is great. Go look that up. I'll try and find it and link it. But no reason to be nervous. There's the reason that your brain is sending you signals of like, hey, be worried about this is because you are taking a risk. And every time you take a risk, if you're, especially a risk averse person where you're not used to taking those risks and used to kind of facing those fears, then your brain will tell you like, hey, you're about to do some stuff that may be dangerous. And it's just a natural thing.
I remember Mystery had a clip years ago about this where he theorized that it was kind of an evolutionary thing where the guys who would go out and try to hit on girls in their little tribes, if they got rejected, then they were basically shut out of any sexual success in the tribe because word would spread, and then they were basically ejected. So in theory, I mean, on the surface, that makes a lot of sense. We've kind of grown to be wary of rejection in this sense. But the world is so much bigger now. Most of the people you're going to see on the street, you'll never see them again. So don't worry about it.
Yeah. The last piece I would say is don't be afraid of outcomes. A lot of guys will worry about like, well, what happens if, what happens if this, if she says that, if she does that, if he does that, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Then don't worry so much about it, right? The outcomes are infinite. There's no sense in getting caught up in hypotheticals. It's not constructive.
Yeah. And it helps also to not do this with the outcome in mind. The outcome that you should be seeking. Outcome independence in that sense. The reason you're doing this is to build a skill. You're doing this as practice. If by some happenstance things go well and you end up getting a girlfriend, great. But again, that should not be your focus. That should not be your goal in this sense. The outcome independence is you're doing this to build a skill. Okay? That's the key thing right there to the distinction. So how do you do the first approach? One practical aspect of this is to do the preparation I've already referenced. Do the rehearsals, have a few things pre-planned and just ingrained into your brain. So the more preparation you have, the easier it's going to be when it's time to go live. All right, so we got to kind of move on because we got a lot of questions to talk about. I have not been able to convince myself to approach. You are just going to have to bite the bullet and do it. I'm out of... Oh, he's got to go work. Okay. Bill Gates doxing Mike to keep the population blue-pilled and under the Illuminati thumb. Do you have any tips for picking up at a mall? All of the stuff we've just talked about will work in a mall, on the street, anywhere. At a bar, at the waterfront, at the ballpark. It's the same thing. You're being social, you're saying hi to somebody, and you're going to transition into a conversation. I really wish I could have included the transitional part in this week's part of the course, but I forgot. So it's a different part of the course later on. I had another section. I was going to move it, and I just forgot to do it. So we don't have those slides tonight. But we will definitely cover that. I should probably make that the first one we cover next week, just so the course kind of follows. All right. Let's see here. How do you justify why you're talking to someone in a completely cold approach, like someone you just walked past on the street? I just gave examples of what to say. The why is going to be relevant to what the opener was. Let me give an example. Excuse me, do you happen to have the time? Now it comes to justification. Because I left my phone at the house. I don't have or I'm running late, or because I don't have my watch. You're going to give them a reason. That it should be a real reason, ideally. You're not going to bullshit people. So make a real justification for why you want to talk to them. And if you are being direct, give a real justification. All right? Just kidding. I just wanted to come over and talk to you because I thought you were cute. And I'd kick myself later if I didn't say hello. Oh, we just lost Mike. I'll bring him back in a little bit. Oh, that's weird. That is a really big banner. Oh, there he is. And he's back. All right, Mike, can you hear us?
Yep.
All right, so the audio is working, so we'll keep going. All right. So hopefully that answers your question. Like how do you justify why you're talking to someone in a completely cold approach? The justification is going to be tied to whatever your opener was. See, Shibby JPE mentioned the 3-second rule, count down from 3 and then go up and talk to them after 1. Like jumping into a cold pond. Yes, that is the 3-second rule. I do not recommend it. If you've done the preparation, then you can use the 1 second rule. As soon as you see them, hey, hello, I'm going to go say hi. And just press forward. Let's see here. Shibbity-dibbity. When I read the escalation ladder, what I got was like 3 pages. Okay. Yes, you are going to need the other 27 pages. There's a lot to it. And as Ribney said, men lead the game. Life's not fair. Get over it. You got to do the work. If she wears a mask, she's a sheeple, and I pass. To each their own. I do question the necessity at this point. The whole point, little thread jack here. We're on like day 120 of our 14 days to flatten the curve. I don't get why this is still ongoing. The whole point was never to stop everybody from getting sick. It was to stop the hospitals from getting swamped. Well, we're well past that now. So come on, let's get back to work here, folks. Get society going again. All right. Mike is still having his technical difficulties. These things happen. Let's see here. Patrice O'Neill radio shows with Opie and Anthony. Yes. The Black Phillip show. Great. Yeah, he's got some funny stuff, man. And then the Book of Pook. Also, look for the Book of Pook coming soon-ish. We'll see. Once we get through this series, we are going to tackle it some way. We're either going to do an audio recording of it, or we'll tackle it much like what Ryan Stone's doing with No More Mr. Nice Guy, which Mike wanted to do as well. We're almost like a book club. We'll go ahead, we'll do the readings, and then we'll do some drills and homework based on the readings. So Book of Pook is coming soon. I just wanted to keep it simple and make an audio recording of it. Then I found out there's already like 6 of them out there. So there may not be really a necessity for that. But breaking it down and talking about it, that would be something I'd be interested in. All right, Hinge, Facebook tied, yes. They're all Facebook tied, but Hinge uses degrees, or at least it used to use degrees of separation. Think of like Kevin Bacon and the 7 degrees of separation. It was friends of friends of friends, or something thereabouts. I don't know what they do now. I'm talking years ago when I first started using it. And then they kind of went by the wayside, and now they're popular again. You know. And we lost Mike again. Let's see, Master Dwlisky had a dry spell for about 3 years, and he found himself like totally uninterested in women. Any tips to get over this? Really lame, I know, but I want to do better. Yes. Okay, this is one of the dangers of going monk mode for an extended period of time. Being in monk mode is fine if you're doing so for a specific reason to, I don't know, recover from a breakup. You need 6 months to get your head straight. You want to focus on a gym, or you want to focus on learning a new skill. Monk mode is good for a focused reason. Just doing it to do it doesn't serve any useful good unless you're hiding from whatever it was that scorned you, burned you, or whatever it was that got to you and got you in your head. So I'd say no more than 6 months. Now, to kind of address your point, you were stuck in basically monk mode for an extended period. How do you get over this? Get out there, start approaching, start making new friends, pick up a new hobby, something that's going to be that's going to have a social aspect to it, where you're going to be able to engage with other people. You've got to get out of the house. You've got to get out and be around people. That's how you're going to get out of that funk. And also, you just got to do like we talked about earlier. Do the drills, do the homework, go out there and cold approach people. Get used to being sociable. Part of these training wheels is to get guys out of their head and to be more extroverted. And if you're not naturally extroverted, that can be a real tough nut to crack. So again, do the drills, get into the repetition, get this stuff on autopilot. So when you do see people that you're interested in, it's way easier to go approach because you no longer are stuck. What do I say? What do I do? It's already there. Just go do it. So again, and also give yourself permission to have fun. Let's see here. Don't nut for a while. Yeah. No fap will help.
It's not a bad recommendation.
Yep. Let's see here. Master Dwlisky. Yeah, I'm on a few weeks now going, okay, that's good. What are good date ideas? I've heard food truck and I've heard rock climbing. What else is there? Movies are a terrible idea.
I would say, yes, stuff that you can be in close proximity to them is a big one.
Yeah.
This is why, going out to a bar works well, because you can sit right next to them.
I'm a fan of
That's why
activity.
most people do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
And by activity dates, I'm thinking in my mind, mini golf, things where you have an activity that you have your attention on, but you're right next to each other talking. So it's not as awkward if you're
go-karting doesn't really work that great.
Yeah. I mean, it can if you're going to be stuck in a line waiting for the next or the next race, and then you can watch. But there's a lot of downtime where you're not really engaged in activity. If you've got something in your hand that can distract you, like a golf club or a baseball bat, if you're going to the batting cages, that's another good one. And particularly, the best kinds of dates are the ones where you're going to be able to display some sort of mastery. So if you're really good at mini golf, then definitely do that as an example. Because if you can kind of school her, not like just crush her in numbers, but if you can teach her a little bit and lead and demonstrate mastery, all the better. Rock climbing, I love it because you get a get out of jail free card for looking at their ass when they're on the wall. And when you belay for them, if you know what you're doing, you're going to build massive, massive comfort when you catch them when they fall. And everybody falls the first time, just about. Let's see here. Stand up. Also put yourself where the women are at, where social interaction is almost forced. It's a good tip. Years ago when I was in high school, I had an uncle, and I don't even know how we got in the conversation. Where do you go to find girls? And he gave me really good advice. Okay. You go pick up women's magazine. You find out where they tell women to go meet guys. And then you go there. The work's already done for you. They're telling you where to go to meet women. Or I should say that they're telling the women where to go to meet guys. So just do that. Go where they tell you to go. Let's see. I only had one girlfriend at 28. She cheated. So since then, I've been kind of, yep. Hopefully this is going to help you out. It sucks that it happens, but it happens to a lot of guys. That's part of the reason this community even exists, is we're all kind of collecting and comparing notes. Mike is connected. I heard him just pop in, but he's not in the stream just yet. Yes. Complacency is gonna crush your gains. That's as true with becoming more sociable as it is with the gym and pretty much everything in life. There's a really good quote. I think it was Benjamin Franklin. I think it was Thomas Jefferson. Never put off to tomorrow what you can get done today. It's one of his 10 rules for life. It's a good one. Let's see here. Yeah. No such thing as an ugly man, just a poor one. Yeah, there's truth to that. Let's see here. I'm thinking back to Lyle Lovett. He was one goofy-looking guy, but because he was rich and famous, he was a celebrity. He ended up marrying Julia Roberts back in her prime. Let's see here. Alan asks, how often should girls be reaching out by phone or text after initial conversations or by texting G? That's just G. I don't know what that was supposed to be. How often should girls be reaching out by phone or text after initial conversation? That's going to vary. I mean, if it's on these dating apps, they may not see it for a couple of days. There's no hard and fast rule in that sense. Now, if you're getting immediate responses to your texts, that's a good sign. But obviously, if you text them and then it takes them 2 weeks to get back to you, that's lukewarm at best, that's being charitable. So the rule of thumb I would say in this case is the more responsive they are, the better. And this is kind of obvious to hear myself say this, but yeah, the longer they wait, the less likely they are to be engaged, the less interested they are. How often should be? Oh, I just take that one. Dates I like to go on is taking a walk. First, get a coffee, some kind of drink, then go for a walk to the nearest park or even just a different area. Change the venues. Yes, changing the venues is really important as well. You can build. think it's fractionation is the psychological term they used back in the day. So when you go from venue to venue to venue, you build up more memories because you've got new environments and new stimulus to absorb. So you can create a very high amount of comfort and rapport by moving through different venues. So that's a nice little tip right there for dates. Also, if you just meet somebody, go out to a bar, club, all right, well, we're all going to go to this next bar. And then you go and turn in like a bar crawl or something like that, where you merge groups. And now you have these girls you're with, and then you're building these connections. It's a really powerful tool just by bouncing from venue to venue. Let's see. Alan tried coffee dates a few times, but he found they sucked because coffee elevated anxiety levels and wasn't late enough. Bar and alcohol for first date works best for me. So he found out what works for him. Good. Bitches love boba tea. Try that next time. I don't know what boba tea is. Let's see. I think a book club for fundamentals of Red Pill would be awesome. The Book of Pook already has audiobooks. Yes, audiobooks. That's what I was trying to think of earlier. It would be nice to put my own spin on it, but it's not necessary. But a book club where we dive into it, we dissect it, that I'm on board with. Let's see. Taker shooting. Yes. Now, that's a tough one to get into, okay? So, again, if you are a gunny and you know how to shoot, great. Be mindful, though, because a lot of women, it's going to put them on nerves or put them on edge. If they're not into shooting, it's going to be like pulling teeth to get them to want to go. But there are times where where you can use that to your advantage. So I don't want to get it off track here too much because we still have a few more questions to get through, and we are already over an hour. But yeah, shooting is awesome. It's exciting. It's fun. You can demonstrate mastery if you know how to shoot. If you can teach them how to like actually hit the target and aim properly, then you're teaching them the skill. You're demonstrating mastery. It's freaking good. And yeah, so that's probably my two favorite personally is going to the shooting range and rock climbing. But again, you've got to have a high degree of investment on their part to want to go to those kinds of activities. They've got to be suited for that kind of stuff. Not a lot of women will be. So you're automatically kind of knocking down your numbers just because you're trying to get these things that are high investment levels, that require high investment levels. It's a lot easier to get a woman to go on a coffee date than it is to a shooting range. All right. So if you try and do that, a lot of them are going to say no. They're going to balk. They might say yes, and then they'll flake on you later. So you might need to work up to making that maybe a second or third date kind of activity. What are some good sales course books? I noticed sales techniques is just game. Gila, yeah. The best ones are that come to mind are Robert Cialdini. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Persuasion. Yes. They're excellent stuff. It's all about advertising. Let's see. I think I've used being in Japan and the passive culture as an excuse. I'm going to get over myself. Okay. Yeah. So Mike is now in chat. Yeah. Unfortunately. Still reading this. Okay, Whoopsie says he just got here. He is still reading the sidebar and was wondering how do you sexually escalate with women on a date. That's that's more advanced. That's gonna be down the road on in the course. Right now, we'll just say read the Escalation Ladder by Vinda Carlo. That's probably the best short example I can give, or the best short answer I can give. Now, you know what? Let's go a little bit more into detail. So say you're out in a club or a bar and you're in close proximity. You want to have that close personal contact. Go dance. When you're dancing, you're going to have that body-to-body contact. Your leg should be between her thighs. There's that escalating sexuality. You're going to breathe in her ear at some point when you're talking. You're going to have that cheek-to-cheek contact. Boom. That's like one of the key things. If they're comfortable with cheek-to-cheek contact, you'll feel when it's time to kiss them. There's that electricity, that excitement. Yeah, don't shy away from that. But those are kind of the things that you can do to escalate. All right. I think Mike's back. Boba tea are what all the college-age women are into for some reason. It's milk tea with little balls of tapioca. I have never heard of this. It just doesn't even sound good.
Bubble tea?
All right. Bubble tea. Is this the one that's like, no, I thought it was bubble tea or boba tea. Is this the one that's like,
isn't it one of the same?
I don't know.
From
if it's the one, so I've been to
Southeast
convention.
Asia? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Was it's like the one I saw was from a Japanese convention, and they all kept buying these $4 teas. And there's a whole thing you pop on the top, and it shoves it down to. I guess that is that. Talking about the same thing then. I thought it was bubble tea. I didn't know it was boba tea. All right. I thought you said Boba Fett. What? No. Let's see here. Trust me, they love it, and they will notice you for being in on the trend. Okay. What, Alan Clay, what kinds of social drills were you talking about before? I'm not going to get into it. Rewind the video, and we went through this already. Don't overlook all the women who don't drink. Yeah. See, if you're dating, you're doing it wrong. You test for comfort and attraction, then escalate from Kino. Pretty much, that's the crux of what we're talking about here. I don't know if you guys watched it during
my comment was specific to Tinder.
Okay. Oh, they're talking down below in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, as far as this one statement, if you go back and you watch the original, the opening of the video, we talk about the 3 skills. What you're talking about here: comfort, attraction, escalation. This is what this whole next portion of the class is about. Tonight's about opening or approaching. Going forward, we're going to get into comfort and then how you build attraction out of this commonalities, the comfort, and this. I like to use the term time under tension from lifting, where you can have, and I've seen this so many times, and this is one of those observations that I've gotten just from being out in the club scene for so long. So I've been with women. We were going along. Things were just great. I step away for a minute. Some other guy comes along. And then I can't get back into the group, and then they go home with the other guy because they weren't doing anything more different, or the women weren't more interested in the guys. They just were in the conversation with them longer. So again, that time under tension, that's that commonality. It's what it is. It's mere exposure. They prefer the person that they knew longer, that they were more exposed to. That's what it comes down to. So in this sense, you can build massive attraction by just being in their presence for an hour. That's it. Go meet them, win them over with the group dynamics, lock into the group, and then just stay with them. Approach and stay. And then as long as you're doing the micro bits of this with escalating here or there, it's a done deal. So moving on. Kino, yes. Take things she says as sexual and point it out. Yes, misinterpreting. This is where you get into the where you're the self-amusement aspects.
Mm-hmm.
So of cold approach, where definitely you mishear things on purpose. It's fun. I do this all the time. It's the crux of cocky comedy, actually, or cocky funny. You can do this. It's the same kind of elements.
That's true. There is a caveat there, though. Just be aware of context.
Yes.
There could be mother hens and naysayers, around. There's going to be a white knight standing there, and it's going to just, be an extra complication that you got to deal with. So if you can make that comment kind of slyly and in a way that's, again, we talk a lot on the channel about plausible deniability, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you kind of know what you're doing, but they don't know if you know what you're doing.
There's that. In the examples that come to mind for me, it's one of those things where it's a way to gauge the group dynamics, where if they say something and you misinterpret it or mishear it and you repeat back what you want to have heard, does that make sense? And they
in a group dynamic, in a banter format, it works really, really well.
Yeah. So whenever they all laugh at whatever it is that you're joking about, then you're safe. Mm-hmm. You've got the group dynamics won over, and generally, you're in good shape. Girls love that here. Okay. Mm-hmm. Is that bubble tea? Yeah, bubble tea. And yes, and then flip the script on her. Take feigned insult. There's this guy gets it. So I think we've covered all of the show notes. We are coming up, hour and 15 minutes. We had some serious technical difficulties, but we adapted and overcame. So now I think we're going to end it here. We're going to head over to Discord for the after party. You're all welcome to join us. The link is in the description of this video. And for some reason, we've got more viewers joining us. I'm sorry you guys were late to the party. Head on over to Discord. Also, again, one last time, please like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you want to support the channel, there's a couple of ways of doing that. One is Patreon. Two is boosting the server on Discord. I think we only need three more people to do it, though. Then we're going to crack the next tier. So we'll have better video and better audio. And we got one last comment in before the bell. Stan, I noticed my conversational skills are a lot more on point after listening to podcasts every day for a couple of weeks. Something about listening to more words per day. Yeah, it's a possibility. It could also be that what you're listening to is you're internalizing it by rehearsing it in your head. And this is one last thing I want to talk about, is the rehearsal aspect. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. I've spoken about this before. It's a really good quote that I got from an old football coach. If you guys start doing the rehearsing in your heads and you're practicing your vocal tonality and all this other stuff, if you're half-assing it, you're training bad habits. So when you go to do things for real out in the real world, those bad habits are going to be exhibited. So whenever you're doing your rehearsing and your drills, and again, from the training wheels perspective, you want to practice like you're going to play. All right. So, and also in the future, whenever you do have bad interactions, don't rehearse those in your head the way they went down, because then all you're doing is drilling what went wrong. Try to envision or visualize things going differently and how you would respond to it. So what you're doing is then you're training yourself to be adaptive to future interrupts or future mistakes. So if you've already got kind of like a script written for yourself of what you want to do and say, you're going to go through this process, and then you do it for real because you've drilled it. You've already got all the preparations done. You go ahead, you do it out in the real world. Things are going swimmingly, perfectly well until, boom, something happens, and then you got to kind of work around it or adapt. You're never going to script or rehearse or prepare the whole interaction. That's not what we're doing here. All right. We're just trying to get you guys over the hump of being in your heads and getting over that approach anxiety right now. So, but what I want you to do is whenever you have these interrupts or these bad reactions or bad interactions, think about what you're going to do differently next time. So rehearse in your head. Okay, I did this. I did this. I did this. This happened. Now I'm going to do this instead. Or I'm going to change the direction of how things start and then kind of go in a different path. This is the crux of, like I said before, with the A/B testing. You're going to try something. You're going to do it a bunch of times. You're going to get a set of results, and then you're going to adapt and overcome. All right? So hopefully we've given you guys some food for thought, helped you out with the approach anxiety and how to get over this being in your head and not approaching. So, yeah, I think we are ready to wrap this up. Any other final thoughts, Mike? Mike? Hello?
Yep. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts?
I don't. We're gonna get these technical difficulties nailed down. My apologies, but I think the most important thing to think about is when it comes to game is you need to be interesting and be exciting and have a reason to be engaging with somebody. Just find a reason, right? Whether it's to talk about, to get to a mutual interest or just get some of their interests out of them. I think the best thing you can do is just ask smart questions. Like that's my number one kind of takeaway from the whole game piece.
Yep, absolutely. And just kind of the dovetail, just to kind of close it out right here. Everything he just said, we are going to dive into in more detail coming up and over the next 2 to 3 weeks. All right. So again, head on over to Discord. We will see you guys in 5 minutes. Good night.